I actually was doing that head bobble the whole time whenever I had to summon like a in-your-face trash talking kind of voice. I was just sort of like, winning.
Hey everyone, what's happening? Lex back today for another Brawl Stars video, and today we have a very special guest. We have Sandra Espinoza, the voice actor of Shelly. How are you doing today, Sandra?
Hola, estoy bien. I'm good.
Right on.
Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Now, of course, you voice Shelly in Brawl Stars, the beginning character that everybody starts out with, which is pretty cool. I mean, so you play Brawl Stars, right?
I have. I played a lot more when we first went global, but since then I kind of fell off. But I played enough. I've got something like 200-something trophies on Shelly. It's an embarrassing number.
It's definitely better than zero. In fact, I think that would probably put you and Maya, the voice actress for Jessie, you guys are probably pretty close, but you've got more trophies than like Bull and Dynamite. You're doing great.
Yes!
So knowing that, I actually was going to save this till the end. However, one of our questions from some people, because I asked a bunch of people to ask you questions, Andrew Fenton says, who is your favorite brawler other than Shelly?
Other than Shelly.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I love, from both a gameplay perspective and just because I think he's adorable, I love Barley.
Oh.
It was just such a cute character when I first, started playing around with it, and I'm like, oh, look how polite he is. He's just going in there, doing his own thing.
So one of my viewers asked, how does it feel, or what's it like knowing that you are the first voice of the brawler that hundreds of millions of people have heard? The first brawler they hear is you. What's that got to feel like?
Well, at first, I had no idea if Brawl Stars was even going to release globally, so I was just like, oh, look at this, is cool that I got to be a part of this, but maybe it won't even get, outside of Canada. But it was still cool that I did it. And then when I got my hands on it and I opened it up for myself and I saw that, I'm like, I was pretty floored because that's such an important... I was honored, really. It was such an important sort of thing that everyone connects to.
Speaking of beginning journeys in Brawl Stars, how did you get the gig to be Shelly?
I was going through my casting calls and my contacts one morning, and I remember seeing in my inbox a call for it. All that was stated was something like a tomboyish, a young tomboy voice with a slight Spanish accent. And I was like, okay, sure, that sounds totally doable. So among several auditions I did that day, I squeezed that one in because it was very short. And I was like, okay, hopefully I get this back. And then very quickly, like a day or two later, they hit me back and they were like, hey, the client really likes this. And they'd like to have you come on. And I'm like, that's great, okay. And it wasn't anything that I knew about being connected to Supercell or anything or any kind of video game. I just knew it was going to be for a small mobile game or something because it was like a very small amount of lines. And then when they were finalizing everything, like, here's our contact, here's the budget, yada, yada. Oh, by the way, it's going to be Supercell. So here's the contact, da, da, da. And I was just like, okay. Okay.
Right.
Because I live in New York, so sometimes I go through Times Square. When you're the kind of developer who can pay to have advertising on Times Square for a mobile game, not even like some kind of AAA console game, that kind of just sticks in your memory.
Yeah,
so,
makes you stop and take notice. That's for sure.
I was wow.
That's weird. So you had no idea it was even for Supercell, or even what the project was. You just knew what the character was in some of the lines. You were talking about, of course, it's Shelly is Spanish, and I know some of my viewers asked as well what your nationality was.
Yes, I'm Hispanic. I am on my father's side. He's from Peru, in Lima specifically. And my mother's side of the family is from Guayama in Puerto Rico. Now,
is it hard? Obviously, you can do a Spanish accent whenever you're, doing your lines. Is it hard to change? I mean, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say something. I don't know what it is. Is it hard to change, like your vocal styling very much, or do you have like a wide range? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm saying.
No, yeah. If it's difficult to transition between the two.
Well, even not like that. Like, obviously, do you just do like your voice, or do you like, alter it like really heavily in a lot of stuff like, you mean, I mean, I don't know. That's the worst Donald Duck ever.
It's a Donald Duck though, and I always admire this. That's already an achievement. I feel like I have an okay range when it comes to, even if I'm doing it in Spanish. My younger, smaller voices, perkier, higher up voices, they tend to be a little bit like higher and a little bit less believable as a natural child. But if you're going for something cartoony, it works like some kind of weird animated gummy bear. But what a lot of my work tends to end up in is maternal, nurturing, kind of here where my natural voice is, and oh sweetie, how was your day? Did you have a good day at school? Oh, did you forget your lunch? And a lot of mom roles.
That does sound like just like a mom, man. You nailed it. I'm like, what? My mom? Where is she? So with that in mind, besides like, video games, or actually including video games, what other kind of stuff have you done that, that you're proud of or that you really got into?
Outside of the video games, which I love, like that's sort of the meat and potatoes of what I hope to do with my career. I end up doing a lot of podcasts / audio dramas. Mm-hmm. I actually do a lot of narration for a couple podcasts that feature original fiction from writers, up-and-coming writers like Podcastle, Pseudopod.
What other video games have you done that we might have heard of?
Most recently, I did a game for Raw Fury and Cliptop Games called Whispers of a Machine.
Okay.
That is sort of a point-and-click adventure game. I was one of the main characters, Stina.
Agent Anglin, we've been expecting you.
Councilwoman, I was told you'd be my bureau contact here.
That's correct. I'm Stina Ruth, and this here is Kurt Anderson, police commissary.
Then before that, I was in Unavowed, which did very well, had very great reception. I was Mandana in that, and she's half Jinn, half human.
But how? To open such a path takes tremendous energy. Energy that a demon alone should not possess. Such a thing is impossible. And yet, I spoke it, so it must be true.
You didn't always play games growing up, now did you?
I didn't. No, I got on the bandwagon pretty late. So when I was younger, my mother absolutely 100% forbade video games in the house. There was no handhelds, no consoles, nothing. And it was all in an effort to keep me in the honors school, like the honor roll and top 90 and above kind of students. And she didn't want me being distracted from my classes, which is totally understandable. And then my dad was super laid back about it. He was just like, whatever, do you want to go to the arcade? He would take me to the local arcade where I would play Tekken 3. I would play DDR at one point when they finally installed it. I was playing Gauntlet Legends.
Oh, yeah. I loved that game. It was hard, though.
It was hard, but at my arcade, they actually had a password system. So I was able to make an account, basically, back in those days, it was just basically remembering the digits that you made as your password. And I was able to pick up where I'd left off, and I'm like, this is amazing. Why can't I have this in my house?
I feel cheated. I didn't get that, man. I just had to start over, and I would it got really hard, and then you'd be like, man, I lost, now I gotta start over in this stupid game.
I know, you made all this progress, and it just eats quarters. This went on into freshman year of high school. And towards the end of it, one of my friends was like, okay, listen, this is enough. We're talking about all these games. You can't relate. I'm going to give you my fat PS2 because I have another one. I have a slim one now. So you take this. Here's Soul Calibur. Have fun. Just play some video games. You can't do this. This is tantamount to you giving me drugs.
Right? You smuggled them in the house and got your game on then.
I did. I would have to hide it under my bed. I would have to play them at night when my mom was asleep. And then if she woke up in the middle of the night for some water or the bathroom, she'd peek in and I'd have to just unplug everything and just shove it under the bed and hop into bed and pretend like I was asleep. And if she ever saw it out, she'd be like, what is that? ¿Qué es esto? And I'm like, that's nothing. She's like, is that video games? And I'm like, no. Do you see controllers? That's a box. That's from school. That's a science thing. I just... That's nothing.
So you know, obviously you played games and you enjoyed them. How in the world did you get from there to voice actress in games? How does that happen?
All my life, I'd say as early as when I was maybe 10 years old or maybe a little earlier, I loved the idea that there was somebody behind the voices of cartoons and video games and even commercials. Because I remember one point in my life sitting back in the living room just watching it. I think I was sick. I had a foot laid up for an injury, and I was miserable. And I remember watching Cat Dog, of all things, on Nickelodeon, and with my little snack because I was miserable about being laid up. And then I saw the credits roll by, and I saw, and then that like a light bulb went off in my head. I'm just like, oh yeah, people get paid to do this. And from there, I was just like, I want to do that too. And between pursuing my scholastic achievements and getting an English degree, and for a while I thought I'd do journalism, for a while I thought I'd do publishing, I just kind of squeezed it in wherever I could until eventually I was making like fun projects for me and just projects for the games I liked. Like my husband introduced me to TF2. I made sound packs for that with my little rock band microphone that I borrowed from somebody because I needed a microphone.
That is awesome.
So, I made those in my bedroom, like just for funsies. And then I kept just polishing and evolving, doing other exercises, doing other classes. And
okay, so I've got a few questions. I've already asked a couple from my viewers. Darkliest is the guy's name. He wants to know, what Shelly skin do you like the most? The Bandita Shelly, Star Shelly, or the default skin? Do you know them?
I do know them all, especially because when we went global, I was just like, I have to get that. That's me. I need that star one. Even though I felt that way about that one, I think I like classic Shelly best.
Okay.
I do appreciate the star Shelly. I think it's a cute change of pace, but I mean, it's like classic the little black dress. You can't beat it.
Right. My favorite one, I think, is actually the Bandita Shelly.
It is.
Yeah.
It is pretty sick.
Yeah, it's pretty good. David M wants to know what is her favorite line that Shelly says?
That's a tie probably between, well, one of them's not technically a line. So my favorite line is "Así me gusta," because it's fun, it's vivacious. I was just throwing things out, and then one of them I was just like, yeah, "Así me gusta," and he was just so fascinated by that one. And I'm just like, yeah, no, it's fun, it's energetic, and for anyone who doesn't know, "Así me gusta" means that's how I like it. Like, yeah.
Thank God you just said that, because I was literally about to ask that question. I'm like, gusta means I like. I know that much.
Yeah.
Me gusta means if you could add any line to Shelly's repertoire of your own, do you have anyone that you might think of?
I actually, yeah, because I think this might have come to me after the after the session was over, and like weeks and weeks later. It's something that sometimes pops up when I'm playing my own video games and I'm frustrated. Ven aquí, like really, like which is like come here, like come here, which is something that I end up saying sometimes when like I'm chasing down a Mercy and I'm really mad.
Exactly.
Ven aquí, like just really mad, like come over here, do it.
Ricky777 says, if you could pick to do another character's voice in the game, who would you pick?
That's hard. I mean, I was actually getting a lot of people who found my Twitter asking me like, are you the one who does the voice for Rosa too? And I'm like, I didn't even know Rosa got a voice yet. So
they thought you did the voice for Rosa, because Rosa's got like a very British kind of hello, mate. I mean, it's
right. Yeah. So I think they were just like assuming because they seemed to look Hispanic that maybe they would have called me back, or a couple people were requesting that I ask Supercell.
Probably before they heard her voice. I could see that. I could see them doing that then.
Yeah, just being like, you should ask Supercell to have you back. I'm like, hey, it's out of my hands.
Right.
I think another one that I wouldn't mind now that they're out and they're so cool looking would have been BB, because she's so awesome looking, and she's got that same sort of tomboy, sort of pugnacious, like, yeah, I'm gonna beat you up sort of like feel to her.
Now comes the moment that everybody is dying to hear you do some of the lines from Shelly, if you wouldn't mind.
Let's go get him. Así me gusta. Boom. Bling, bling. Winning.
Winning is my favorite one.
Winning's fun because, I mean, winning is fun.
Right.
But giving that line, when I was seeing it in the script, I was just like, does winning, like, is she saying that she's winning? Okay, I guess that must be it. So I gave him a bunch of different ones. And I guess it was more of like a trash talky sort of like, yeah, winning, sort of like in your face. So I actually was doing that head bobble the whole time whenever I had to summon like a in your face trash talking kind of voice. I was just sort of like, winning.
That's perfect. So while you were working on, building up to the voice acting as a career, what did you do in the meantime?
Not related to voiceover. I've also worked in law offices. I'm a legal clerk organizing files. And then I was moving on to drafting and proof checking powers of attorney and wills. So if Shelly ever kills you, she can probably also make sure that all your paperwork is in order for your next of kin.
Nice. Where can we find you online? Everybody wants to go follow you. They want to see the awesome stuff that you're up to. Where can they do that?
They can follow me on Twitter. I'm on there a lot, which is Dusty Old Roses. And that's kind of the catch-all for all of my social media, except for Instagram, which somebody beat me to it. So it's it's Dusty Old Roses Official.
Yeah, but you got him. See, they may have taken Dusty Old Roses, but you're like, you know what? No, I'm official.
I kind of have it across the board. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all Dusty Old Roses. The Instagram is official. And yeah, I post there a lot. And I typically just talk about random stuff and post about when I'm in new stuff.
Sandra, is there anything else that you'd like to tell, the Brawl Stars players, fans?
Be kind to one another. Don't give up, because when you give up on something, there's absolutely no potential left. You've cut off all possibilities. But if you keep going, you do have at least one possibility left. Don't step to any Shelly if you're Bull. And
that's true.
You should be fine.
That's absolutely 100% good advice.
I think that's all the life lessons I have for them. And that thank you so much for the support. And I hope you guys keep playing Brawl Stars and keep loving everything about it. And I couldn't be more honored to be a part of it.
Awesome. Okay, so Sandra, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Everybody has been really excited for this. So I hope that you guys at home enjoyed the video. And as always, until next time, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out.
Bye. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because así me gusta.